Hi everyone, my name is Bob Lambert and I am the Manager of Residence Life at Mount Royal University in beautiful Calgary, Alberta. I am also the President-elect of NWACUHO, and today I'll be presenting on how to submit a NWACUHO program proposal for the annual conference. As I'm sure most of you know, NWACUHO will be in Bellevue, Washington in 2020 from February 17th to February 19th. And so much of this conference is built from the great work all of you completing your roles and then choosing to share this great work with our attendees at the conference. And if you haven't done so already, I would highly encourage you to start thinking about a topic you'd like to present on and start thinking about your program proposal. And so today we're going to take a look at the components of and learn how to submit a program proposal. It's not too difficult, it doesn't take a boatload of time, but we do want you to think about the aspects of your presentation and what you can do to make your presentation one that nobody will forget. We're also going to take some time to discuss the 3 domains of universal design for learning and hopefully have you take away 3 to 5 ways that you can apply these concepts of universal design to your proposal and conference presentation. It's really important to have a basic understanding of these domains, and so everyone in attendance at the conference can gain from your wisdom and the knowledge you share. And so as a reminder, look at this logo, as a reminder, program proposals are due November 15th, 2019, so you got about 2 weeks left, and so like I said, please start thinking about those presentations and how you will go about presenting them in Bellevue. First things first, you need to select a topic. And so what I like to do, or what I like to say to people is start thinking about kind of the best presentations that you've been to at a conference. It truly, when it comes to selecting a topic, they're the best presentations that I've been to. The topic areas, it's not some new profound idea. It's really just sharing an idea or concept about something that you're passionate about, you know a lot about, and it's just an extension or thought on something really you have a lot of knowledge on. And so we need a lot of good diversity of programs at our conference. And so anything from supervision and advising, organizational development, operations, facilities, and housing services, we want a diverse range. And so, pick an area that you're interested in and you feel like you have something to share with the delegates. So we're going to break down each one of these areas of your program proposal, but you want to consider each of them when you're building your presentation. This is also how a program submission form is set up. And so categorizing your program focuses on how your program is being presented, who it is being presented for, and what functional area within residence does it best fit. Describing your program shows us that you have thought about the content of your presentation. The more description you provide, the better we're able to understand what attendees will receive should they choose to attend your program at the conference. Okay, so different types of program sessions. We have collaborative information, and this shares a process or philosophy and often involves the audience sharing their experiences on a typical subject as well. I think there's one more there, yep. Case study presentations. It's important here to always share the context for folks in which these case studies occur, so we have a good understanding of what your specific experience was and what institution it occurred at. And this allows for people who might be choosing if the presentation is a good fit for them, the more they know, the better they can potentially relate to that case study. So it shares the results of a specific experience and it can be implemented at similar institutions. Panel discussion. This is interactive question and answer session. Brings together many different perspectives. It's usually with subject matter experts in the room sharing what they know on a particular subject. And then finally we have interactive learning activity. And so this primarily engages attendees through some sort of activity, and emphasis is on learning by doing. And so some sort of activity or yeah, something that is going to engage the audience members and the attendees by them actually taking part in some sort of activity. Then we have our target audience, and so it's important to our audience that they are attending sessions that will best help to inform their practice, and for this reason we ask that you tailor your program with one specific target audience in mind. So we have graduate assistants, entry-level professionals, advancing professionals, mid-level professionals, and senior housing officers. And so, think about, who you are maybe and where and what you think your audience would be, and where you think your information is best suited for. All right, and then we have proposal tracks. And so now that we've covered the type and target audience, it's important to think about what track your program best fits. So we have 8 program tracks in total. The 4 on this slide are NWACUHO's core purposes. And so choosing kind of what tracks you feel like your presentation best fits under is again an opportunity for those attending the conference to know what they're going to be getting out of your session. And so are you is it encouraging professional development? Is it promoting best practices? Is it fostering collaborative sharing ideas? Or are you examining future industry trends? And then the next 4, these tracks are NWACUHO's core competencies, and they help to show what function area that you'll be presenting to. So residence life, operations, facilities management, universal design. And so under residence life, this could be crisis management, res ed, student behavior. Under operations, this could be ancillary partnerships, conference services, evaluation planning, fiscal resources and control, human resources, information technology, and also occupancy. Facilities management can be anything from like facilities assessment, master planning, general and preventative maintenance, capital project management, sustainability, inventory control, and even like materials handling. And then finally, universal design. This could be anything from diversity, social justice, leadership, employment policy, organizational change, career development. And so start thinking about kind of under what of these functional areas your presentation best fits. All right, so now that you've done that, we're going to take a look at the actual presentation content. And so this is your abstract. My recommendation is to complete this last, as it is kind of like a snapshot of your program and what it is to potential attendees. And so this will appear in the conference guide, which is what attendees will look at when they choose their sessions that they attend. And so it provides a brief overview of the topic, includes at least one major takeaway, and it clearly states the target audience. And so the clearest the clearer your abstract is, the better. And like I said, that might be something that you do at the end once you kind of have all of that information or ideas firmed up. Description is an extension of your abstract, so it provides an explanation of your programming tracks, target audience, and session type. It explains how you'll make the content relevant to the attendees. And as a reminder, your program doesn't have to fit for everyone. In fact, sometimes less is more. And so if you do have a specific audience and or if it's a very specific topic, that's okay, that's cool. It doesn't have to be the best fit for everyone. And so, recommendations: consider what theories or strategies will ground your programs. Consider how your program will be relevant to members of all provinces and states. And so, as mentioned, is there a province or state that it best fits, or is it something that, can be applied to all of our attendees? And consider how your program will translate across all institution types, because we got a lot of them at NWACUHO, which makes us very unique, and it's important to know and understand kind of the context that you're at. Okay, and then so learning objectives. You should aim to have at least 3 specific learning objectives. It, again, kind of helps articulate what an attendee will know or be able to do after your session, and should reflect your target audience, your session type, and program track. And then finally, this is your outline, and so this is a step-by-step breakdown of your program. This details strategies for learning and the flow of your program. Should be in chronological order. When we're reviewing these proposals, it's good to have kind of a step-by-step chronological order of what you're presenting. That gives a good idea of what your presentation will actually look like. Should include timelines. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to how long you have. And you should clearly articulate how you will achieve your learning outcomes. So once you've completed your outline, you are good to go. And again, this process doesn't take too long, but do take some time to spend thinking about your presentation and what will be included in it. If you do have any questions or would like more of an explanation with any of this, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. And I've submitted a few presentations in the past. We'll be reviewing these submissions, and so if you do need assistance, I'd be happy to help out. Okay, so now we're gonna switch over to Universal Design for Learning. I want to make it clear that I'm definitely not a subject matter expert on this, but I do think it's extremely relevant for us to think about when we're designing programs for our members. And so for those of you who don't know, Universal Design is a framework for developing accessible pathways for learning. The goal is truly to accommodate as many learners as possible. It's not about finding one approach that works for every single person. It's about using multiple approaches that will be relevant for different folks. And so building flexibility that can be adjusted to everyone's strengths and needs. So like I said, it's about providing lots of different methods of learning. It essentially allows for everyone to be able to gain from your presentation instead of just one type of learner. And so we have 3 different domains for Universal Design for Learning. So we have engagement, representation, and action and expression. I'll go over those briefly. And so engagement, that's kind of like the why of learning. Why am I here? So affect represents a crucial element to learning, and learners differ markedly in the ways in which they can be engaged or motivated to learn. So there's a variety of sources that can influence individual variation and affect, including neurology, culture, personal relevance, subjectivity, and background knowledge, along with a variety of other factors. Some learners are highly engaged by spontaneity and novelty, while others are disengaged, even frightened by those aspects, preferring strict routine. Some learners might like to work alone, while others prefer to work with their peers. In reality, there's not one means of engagement that would be optimal for all learners in all contexts, but providing multiple options for engagement is super essential. So then we have representation. So that's kind of the what of learning. What am I learning? So learners differ in the ways that they perceive and comprehend information that is presented to them. For example, those with sensory disabilities, this could be blindness or deafness, learning disabilities, example dyslexia, language or cultural difference, and so forth, may all require different ways of approaching content. Others may simply grasp information quicker or more efficiently through visual or auditory means rather than printed text. Also, learning and transfer of learning occurs when multiple representations are used, because they allow students to make connections within as well as between concepts. In short, there's not one means of representation that will be optimal for all learners. Providing options for representation is also essential. And then finally, we have action and expression. And so this is the how of learning. And so how am I learning the material? So learners differ in ways that they can navigate a learning environment and express what they know. For example, learners with significant movement impairments, example like cerebral palsy, those who struggle with strategic and organizational abilities, so this could be executive function disorders, those who have language barriers and so forth, approach learning tasks very differently. Some may be able to express themselves well in written text, but not speech, and vice versa. It should also be recognized that action and expression require a great deal of strategy, practice, and organization, and this is another area in which learners can differ. In reality, like the other two, there is not one means of action expression that would be optimal for all learners. Providing options for action expression is also essential. So kind of as a recap, in terms of engagement for university designers learning, addresses the ways in which learners are motivated. Different learners have different preferred methods of obtaining knowledge, and it's important to provide multiple means of engagement in your presentation. And as a recap for representation, it addresses the ways in which learners perceive information. Multiple ways of perceiving information allow learners to make connections. And again, there's no one way to present information which will benefit all learners. Action and expression, how of learning, addresses the ways in which learners share what they know, multiple ways of navigating a learning environment, and there is no one way for learners to share what they know. So in practice, try different strategies to engage attendees. So this could be personal stories, videos, games. Offer information in more than one format through text, audio, hands-on learning. Action and expression, provide time for self-reflection and group discussion. And so, the more different and variety of ways that you can engage with the material with others, the more likely you're going to find that attendees are going to come out of the presentation gaining more from it. And so these are some important things to think about when you're designing your presentation and your program proposal. Okay, so a couple final suggestions. Spend time writing and revising a program proposal. There's lots of people that would be willing to help, including myself. And so you can always ask some colleagues to take a look at it and bounce ideas off of them. Be thoughtful about who you're presenting to and what will be learned. Use your resources. There's lots of resources on the NWACUHO website. If you're in a master's program, there's lots of textbooks available to you. So use those resources that are available to you. Check and double check for typos and grammar errors. We don't want to see, obviously, your program proposals being rushed through. And so, making sure that you do double check and read those through before you submit would be great. Strong proposals result in strong programs. That is causation right there. And so we want to make sure that you take a time to write a strong proposal because ultimately that means that there's going to be it'll be a better presentation for our delegates at NWACUHO. Own your knowledge. You know so much, and this is one of the wonderful things about NWACUHO is that we can share ideas and our experiences with each other because that ultimately improves the experience for students at our institutions. And so we gain so much from you presenting, and we hope that you do. And implement feedback received. And so if you do get some back from the program evaluation committee, use that feedback. And again, once you're accepted to present, that doesn't mean that no one from NWACUHO wants to help. We would love to, take a look at and review your presentation and help with anything or answer any questions you might have. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, my name is Bob Lambert. I'm the president-elect of NWACUHO, and thanks again for listening. Here are, finally, before I leave, here are a few resources that you can take a look at and use to submit your program proposal. Okay, everyone, take good care, and we will absolutely see you in February.